This summer, I've been running a new series of videos in which I review classic episodes of Doctor Who. Each week has seen me watch a popular story from each Doctor that I've never seen before, then give my thoughts on the episode in a short but detailed review. I concluded this week with an 8th Doctor Big Finish audio, Storm Warning. This story features Paul McGann reprising his role as the Doctor for the second time, as well as introducing a new companion in the form of Charlie Pollard. The plot sees the TARDIS land on the airship R101 on its maiden voyage across the British Empire. However, little does the Doctor, or any of the other passengers on board, know the real destination of the ship. The Time Lord, with the help of his new friend Charlie, soon discovers that the crew are secretly planning to return an alien Triskele back to her people. However, before long, they become involved in the politics of the Triskele, and the race's dark side is revealed. And there's a storm coming. This isn't in fact the first Big Finish drama I've listened to, although it is my first experience of listening to a classic Doctor in audio form. I thought the 8th Doctor was very well written. McGann plays the Doctor with confidence and flair, making for an entertaining performance. It's almost as if he never left the role after the 1996 TV movie. I found that the supporting cast were written well too. Charlie was decent companion material, and was played enthusiastically by India Fisher, if a little too over the top at times. I will admit, however, that she goes very well with the 8th Doctor, from what I've heard in this story. They are both travellers, and both have an appetite for adventure. One thing I must say is that I discovered I had to use my imagination quite a lot when listening to this audio, and I imagine most other Big Finish audios are similar. To some extent, this is an added bonus I suppose, although at times I found it difficult to distinguish guest characters from each other, and also make out their names. Having said that, it is one of my first Big Finish listening experiences, so I might need to concentrate more on the story in the future. The audio introduced us to two new alien species, the Vortisaurs and the Triskele. The Vortisaurs are pterodactyl-like scavengers who live in the time vortex and live on chronal energy. They served a good purpose in the plot, as it's about a fixed point in time, and appeared quite threatening, even though they only ever roared. The Triskele, on the other hand, were humanoids that spoke in a strange, sing-song sort of way. They also had a long history and culture, although I found it hard to understand at times. Split into two factions, the logical and peaceful engineers and the barbaric, evil uncreators, this made for an interesting confrontation when they were negotiating with the humans. It was also nice to see both the good and bad sides of an alien species for once. There's not much else I feel I can say about this audio, as there's quite literally not much to see. But I would like to briefly talk about how I got into Big Finish a couple of weeks ago, and why you should listen to their audios if you don't already. I first decided to order Torchwood, The Conspiracy, the day before it came out, along with a couple of other audios from the first 50 releases. I downloaded a copy of the story for free the next day. After I came home from school, I sat and listened to it for an hour, and my mind really was blown. It's like Torchwood had never been gone. The script was written so well, true to the original TV series, and John Barrowman played Captain Jack like he'd never left the role. I was so impressed with what Big Finish had managed to achieve, and from that point onwards I knew I wanted to listen to more releases. Of the others I downloaded was Storm Warning and the highly praised Spare Parts, which sees the true origins of the Cybermen explained for the first time. I have nearly finished listening to the latter, and again I've been very impressed with what I've heard so far. I can't recommend getting into Big Finish enough, although if you're more of a New Who fan like me, I would suggest trying something more modern or recent first, like Torchwood would be a good idea. To sum up, I thought Storm Warning was quite an interesting story, although at times a little hard to understand. I will praise the story for playing with the concept of a fixed point in time, however, long before Stephen Moffat used the idea in his tenure as showrunner. The 8th Doctor was written and acted very well, as was Charlie and the supporting cast. The Triskele was a decent villain, but not one of my favourites. The Vortisaurs are also good monsters. And before I end, here's an episode ranking for all the adventures I've watched, or listened to, as part of this series. Without a doubt, my favourite episode has been Pyramids of Mars, closely followed by Survival and The Green Death. I'm glad I set myself this challenge over the summer, as it has made me appreciate the classic series more. As a result, I'll definitely be picking up more classic DVDs in the near future. Thank you for watching for the past 8 or so weeks, and goodbye.